What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast with Justin and Brandon. Formula One might have taken a week off from racing, but they did not take a week off from the action. So much has happened since we last sat down to record. Alpine now has a man who was banned from the sport for 1.5 decades, leading their team as team principal. They also have a new driver, and we're going racing this weekend to kick off a triple header, which means we have predictions for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Brandon, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. We're kicking off the European part of the calendar this year, which is always super exciting. Love those tracks. Hopefully we'll get to go to one someday, but I'm pumped for this triple header.
As two American Formula One fans, making it out to a European circuit is certainly on the bucket list. If you have been to one, let us know in the comments which one you think we should go to for our first European Grand Prix. Let us jump into our predictions for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. You are currently winning 18-16, so we are in the midst of a tight championship battle here. Let's kick it off with our podium pusher of the weekend. So who do you think will be the podium pusher of the weekend this weekend in Imola?
My podium push of the weekend, I'm going with Charles Leclerc. I think that Charles has, performed well enough here in the past. It is the first race of the season in Italy, which is obviously a home race for Ferrari. So I think he'll be spurred on by the Tifosi, and I'm thinking maybe this is a weekend that Ferrari starts to break through. It's the first European track, so yeah, we'll see.
We know teams love to bring some upgrades to European circuits because it's nearest to the factories. I don't know how much extra horsepower the Ferrari fans are worth, but Ferrari needs every last ounce of power that they can get. So hopefully they do see an improvement this weekend. I have gone for Yuki Tsunoda as my podium pusher of the weekend. I think it will be good for him to have another normal weekend in that car where he has 3 practice sessions. He's had some crazy races, just came off a sprint race in Miami. So I think it'll be good for him to have a normal weekend with 3 practices. But also, Imola is AlphaTauri V-Carb's home track. So he has done so much driving on this track. They do testing there every single year. So he has put down laps at this track. There is no track that Yuki Tsunoda knows more than Imola. And so I'm hoping that that works in his favor this weekend as well. Not saying he has to beat Max or even match Max, but he closes down that gap, scores some good points. I've got some good feelings about Yuki Tsunoda this weekend.
Yeah, I could definitely see Yuki having a good weekend. We've talked about it a lot in the past, but I think the normal weekend format definitely suits Yuki better than the sprint weekend format for sure. My backmark of the weekend is, we've already talked about him a little bit, but Franco Colapinto. I think that Franco is going to hop in that Alpine, and that Alpine is not as good as the Williams was last year, in my opinion. And I think that we're going to discover that maybe Pierre is just getting the most out of the car, and that Jack wasn't doing all that bad. I do think Franco is going to show more potential in the car than Jack has so far this season, but I think it's going to be a tough weekend getting him adjusted. This is only his 6th, 7th race in a Formula One car. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and you got to remember with Franco Colapinto, he hasn't had preseason testing with this car. It is completely different to the Williams that he drove last year, a different engine, a different gearbox, the whole thing. So, we can't put our expectations too high for Franco Colapinto, but I agree that he's probably not going to have the greatest weekend. I was going to put him as my back marker until I saw that you had predicted him first. So we've got the same wavelength here. I think Alpine aren't going to be great at this track in general. And then you say it's Pierre Gasly's best track, probably because of the same AlphaTauri testing thing. And so if he has a good weekend and that gap is pretty big, I could see it for sure. I've gone with Lewis Hamilton as my back marker of the weekend, mainly because I don't think Ferrari is going to be great here. I don't know. Maybe they do bring some upgrades and they have new potential, but just with the way that Ferrari has started this season, I don't look at Imola and say, yes, this is the track that it all clicks for them and they're going to be great. And then I also still think Lewis Hamilton is a little bit behind Charles Leclerc. He's still taking some time to adapt to that car. So you put all those factors together, I don't think it's looking to be a great weekend for Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think Lewis is still struggling to get to grips with the car, with the different systems. Being in Mercedes or a Mercedes powered car for the last 15 plus years in his Formula One career. Obviously there's some big adjustments to make. So
Yeah, we'll have to see how he does this weekend. Who have you predicted to take pole at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix?
My poll prediction is Lando Norris. I think Lando has performed well at Imola in the past, dragging that slower McLaren up into the podium positions. And Lando hasn't done horribly in qualifying. Obviously, he's made some mistakes, but I think he's been better this year than he has in the past. So I think we'll continue to see some improvement. And, this is a track that Lando likes. He's obviously in a tight championship battle with his teammate Oscar. So I think that maybe this weekend is one that he takes advantage of.
I completely agree. I have also put Lando Norris on pole position. I think this is Lando Norris's best track. I would not be surprised at all if he takes pole this weekend. We've seen him have good performances here in the past. He almost won here last year. Got good feelings about Lando Norris this weekend. I will say, for the sake of not making everything the exact same, he might not be where I wanted to put him on my podium, but I will say that for pole, I was like, it's fine. We can have the same pole prediction. So I'm putting Lando Norris in pole position as well.
Yeah, it's a great pick. I think it's going to happen. So
Yeah, at least if it doesn't happen, you're not gaining any ground on me because we've made the same prediction there. So I'm feeling good about that. Who have you predicted to end up in third place this weekend?
P3, I'm going with George Russell. George has had a very good season so far. He's been very, very consistent, picked up a few podiums already. And I think he's going to continue that streak.
Like I just said, you predicted the exact podium I was going to pick. So I have changed it completely for this. If it's wrong, it's not my fault. It's on Brandon. When I'm right, it's on me. When I'm wrong, it's on Brandon. That's just naturally how the podcast works. I've said screw it and put Kimi Antonelli in P3. It's his home race. He's been improving. He had a great weekend in Miami, putting it on sprint pole, out qualifying George Russell in both sessions. So why not take your first actual podium in Formula One at your home race? I think that would be great. I think the Mercedes it's kind of the second fastest car-ish, depending on where you put a Max Verstappen-driven Red Bull. But I don't expect Red Bull to be that great this weekend either. Mercedes has upgrades. So, we both have put a Mercedes in P3. I think that's a solid choice from us.
I agree. And man, I would absolutely love to see Kimi get his first podium at his home race. One of two home races for him, which no other driver on the grid can say, which is awesome. Except for Logan Sargent last year. He had three home races. Well, he didn't actually get to have three.
He
But
only raced in
anyway,
one. Aw.
anyway, anyway.
Poor guy, poor guy. He got three the year before that. Didn't have to bring up the Logan Sargent sacking in the middle of this podcast. Who do you think is going to take P2 this weekend?
P2, I have Oscar Piastri. I just think Lando's going to perform really well at this track. We've talked about it already, but he loves this track. He's done very well in the past, very nearly won the race last year. So I think Oscar's going to take P2.
I put Lando Norris in P2 for the sake of arguing this like I actually believe it. I'll just say something like, oh, he's going to lose it off pole position like he always does. Oscar Piastri has better race pace. Lando will throw it away in the pit stops. I don't know. I thought Lando was going to win the race, but whatever. I'm putting him in P2.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a really hard pick for me because Oscar's been so consistent. I think the last few weekends he's been the faster McLaren, and certainly right now, if he continues on the trajectory that he is, I think he's going to win the championship over Lando Norris. But I mean, it was hard for me to pick against Lando at Imola, so I think it's gonna be Lando Norris.
Yeah, well, yeah, I put Oscar Piastri P1. You can have your Lando Norris first place prediction. I'm fine with putting Oscar Piastri in P1 because you're right. He has had a lot of momentum. And I went and watched last year's Emilia Romagna Grand Prix over this week break that we had. And Oscar wasn't that far off Lando. He finished in fourth place, so just off the podium, but he was only like 8 seconds off. So that's not terrible. He wasn't that far off Charles Leclerc. And we know that something about Oscar Piastri standing in the continent of Europe makes him perform absolutely insane. Last time we raced at an Italian track, Oscar Piastri had the overtake of the year on Lando Norris. So it's possible. I'm not angry about having to predict Oscar Piastri. My full heart isn't in it, but I could see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very real possibility with either one of these McLaren cars. So
Yeah, and now that we've just fully covered the top two steps in Papaya and not mentioned Max Verstappen, we've guaranteed that Max Verstappen is going to win this weekend by 30 seconds. So if you're a Red Bull fan, you're welcome. We just made that prediction signed, sealed, and delivered for you because we didn't put him on our podium. Our one pushing prediction for the weekend, mine, is that at least one of the rookies has an incident this weekend. We've been to, how should I word this? A lot of tracks that don't necessarily punish mistakes all that much, some wide runoffs, a lot of concrete. This weekend, we're going back to an old school track. It's pretty tight, got some tough corners. That gravel is not that far away. And so I think we're going to see one of the rookies make a mistake. We're going to have it beached in the gravel during a practice session, maybe hitting the barrier during qualifying, something like that. Franco Colapinto does fall into this category, by the way, just so we're fully clear on that. So that is my current prediction for this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great pick. It's definitely a real possibility. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with my one pushing prediction, which is during the race, we're going to have at least one safety car and one VSC. So Imola is a track where we've seen that happen a lot in the past. It's a track that often has weather involved. So I think that we're going to see some crashes, and then on Sunday, we're going to see a full safety car and a virtual safety car.
To have them both, that is a bold prediction. I will say I looked at the weather forecast. There's no rain at the moment for this weekend, but there is earlier in the week and there is on the Monday after the Grand Prix. So you move that around a little bit. It could happen. There could be some weather and that could change things as well. So I could see it, but having both of them is certainly bold. The fans at Lenny13_7, both Ferraris finish inside the top five. At Daniel_P19, Franco Colapinto scores points on his re-debut. And at Formula Fan 33, we have rain in at least one session during the weekend.
I think those are great predictions.
If you had to pick one of those to come true, which one would you pick?
Rain.
You're just hoping for rain so it can cause a safety car and you can get closer to finishing your prediction. That's the only reason you want that one to come true.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
I can see through you completely. That is all we've got for our predictions for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Before we get out of here, what are your parting podium thoughts?
I'm ready to kick off a triple header. It's exciting, and I love seeing Formula One cars on track. So,
Yeah, I'm ready for this triple header too because I thought Miami was starting a triple header. Foolish Justin didn't look close enough at the calendar. Brandon set me straight after we finished recording last week. So I know that now we're kicking off a triple header and we've got a great race coming up this weekend. And the next weekend is Monaco, which I'm pumped about. Of course, cannot forget the Spanish Grand Prix where allegedly McLaren's going to get pulled back into the pack because of the regulation change. We'll have to wait and see about that. But we are kicking off a triple header. It's going to be a lot of fun. As always, thank you for watching and listening to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast. We appreciate you letting us be the people that talk to you about Formula One. It means the world. Before you go, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all of the things. We will see you in the next one. But until then, have a great day and God bless.
see you.